Welcome to part 3 of Behind the Scenes with David Haythornthwaite, where we continue to look at what is happening at AFC Fylde during this lockdown period.
If the league is ended, as you've said, you do expect to happen, do you believe that clubs will really struggle because of the match day revenue? I know you've slightly touched on it, ours might not be as bigger as, say, Stockport's, but if Stockport now miss out on 9 games, well, essentially 4 or 5 home games out of those 9, they may also have to, and we will have to, maybe refund season ticket holders. There's season ticket holders, there's commercial.
Yeah. look, you're spot on, Adam. There's so many complications, and look, I looked before I did this interview today, and since the last home match, Aldershot on the 14th. I just called Lisa this morning, the MFD, and just said, what have we paid out since then? And the last month, it's just roughly almost exactly a month since we finished, and we've paid out. AFC Fylde has paid out £115,000 and we're a little club. 115,000 we've paid out. I talked to a League One chairman yesterday, or chief exec, and he told me that in that same period he'd paid out 440,000, and his income was £347. So his incomings were 347, so his outgoings were 400,000, and it's all wages. And in that league, they haven't, no one's will take a furlough. So we've paid out 110,000, and that's a huge amount of money. And we have had, with zero income. I say zero. Maybe we've sold. We're trying to get rid of our shirts. Our last season shirts, not as a way of generating income, just a way to get the old stuff out of the way. And so we got a couple £100 coming, and of that 110,000, 90% of that is wages. 90% of it's wages. So, that's the reality of the football club. Now, if what happens that I suggested could happen earlier is that we now have 9 months of that, then that's, in very simple terms, is £1 million that somebody is going to have to find, and that there's only one person, that's me. And that is a situation that we find ourselves in. So I've therefore had to make some difficult decisions, and one of those decisions is that I'm not going to support the football club at the level that I supported it before, because I feel it's morally wrong for me to ask all my managers in my, shall we say, real business to take pay cuts, or to furlough people on the government scheme, and to have to terminate some people, while at the same time fund my football club, which, as I explained, of that 95% is wages, and to pay every single player full wages. And this is not, as I said earlier, not my dilemma. This is everybody's dilemma. So we have to explore, why is that a dilemma? Why is it something that nobody wants to talk about? It's a famous, elephant in the room, isn't it, as they say. And it's very simple to understand if you're in football, and that is because players are on contracts, and if you don't pay them, so we've got a suggestion, and we've heard a number of suggestions. Premier League always gets and rightly so, gets all the sort of news. So we've heard where Arsenal, I think, have tried to ask the players to take a 15% cut and they refuse, and someone else. Why are they refusing? You have to ask yourself, why are they refusing? They're refusing because the PFA, but critically more than that, their agents are telling them, don't take a pay cut. because if you take a pay cut, they'll back down. They will back down, because if they cut your wage, you will be able to exercise clause 17 in your contract, in an FA player's contract, which says that the club have acted unreasonably. That allows you then to effectively tear up your contract and you go and find a new club. Think about that in the current Harry Kane situation. They're talking about 200 million Harry Kane to Man United. Now, whether or not that's the right number, let's say it's 100 million, but would you not pay Harry Kane his wages? You can't risk that, because he walk away as a free agent. And that's the problem. So, and the problem is that you can't get a consensus from owners working together to solve this problem, because unfortunately everybody's only interested in their own club. So a lot of clubs see this turmoil as an opportunity. They're almost, shall we say, like scavengers, feeding off the dead body, picking up the pieces that they like, that will be left over. In this case, there'll be players who will rip up their contracts because clubs can't afford it. And it's got to the situation where I saw something yesterday that one League One club was saying, look, if we have to rip up all our contracts and start again, that's what we'll have to do. So this is the real situation, Adam, that's out there, and it's no different at our club. We're just talking different levels of wages. So this morning, again, I read in the paper the average Premier League wage average is 61,000 a week. 61,000, and we know that there's lots of people on a lot more money than that, and I find it absolutely disgraceful that Premier League players or all players have refused to take a pay cut. I'm not talking about pay deferral, I'm talking about pay cut. And seem to think for some reason that because they're footballers, they should be paid in full. And I think you have to ask yourself this question really. And if we let's take Mo Salah at Liverpool, probably on 200,000 a week. So if Sky tomorrow said we're not going to pay you anymore, or we're only going to pay you $1 billion instead of $4 billion, whatever it is they pay for Sky, and Liverpool went to Mo Salah and said, Mo, sorry, all bets are off. We can't pay you 200,000 anymore. You're going to rewrite your contract, and it's going to be 50,000 a week. But you're going to be the best paid player at the club. Do you think he's going to sign it, Adam? Of course he will. Of course he will. Of course he will, because at 50,000 a week, he's still on pretty good money. So let's take it to the next extreme and say, what about if it got worse than that and Sky pulled out totally and they had to just go back to how they had to do many years ago, which was on gate income, sponsor, benefactors. Mo, you've got to work, you've got to play every week for 5,000 a week. He would still say, yes, I'll sign, because 5,000 a week is still a lot of money, isn't it? That's the reality. That is the reality. So when they say they can't take a 20% or a 30% pay cut in this crisis, it is outrageous. It is outrageous. And, they could have given a lead to the whole country. They could have given a lead to the whole country and said, in this time, we're going to do that. And some of that money could have flowed down to where it should do, to the clubs that are genuine football clubs that have been around for years, that are seriously struggling to survive and will seriously struggle, because without the pyramid, the game's dead. And as somebody pointed out as well, the pyramid's going to be very important, and especially the non-league pyramid, especially now we're out of the EU, because it's going to be really, really difficult to bring in players which is great for the English game. I mean, I'm a passionate Englishman, as everybody knows. I'm a massive England fan. I go all over the world watching them. And you know, one of my beefs have been we've got all these foreign players and English players don't get a chance, and that's why we haven't got a great national side. We can have that debate, whether that's right or wrong, another time. But the fact is that the feeder clubs, as we kind of are to the Premier League, we need that in this game. We need this in the game post-Brexit. So they should be looking after football, in my view, should be taking care of its own family. We should not be going to the government with a begging bowl. It is not the government's job to sort this out. There's enough money in football for football to take care of its own problem. And I think this is something that, as you can probably tell, I feel very, very strongly about. Very strongly about.